select the multiple projects. So I select the project 1 and you can see there are two modes of scripting. We are going to see how the two modes look like. That's all. Right? There are certain people very comfortable with simplified scripting. Certain people are comfortable with Java scripting. For rational functional tester, we always, it is individual preference. As a tester, if somebody asks me which one you use, I always prefer JavaScript. That was JavaScripting was there from 6.0 version of rational functional tester. That is where I started my RFT usage. Simplified scripting started from 8.0.x version. Simplified scripting is basically to have a complete level with QTP, where you have in QTP two modes. One is expert view, another is I suddenly could not remember the name. Expert view and script view. Not script view. That is the one. The simplified scripting is the other view in QTP. Right? So of course, this is basically to ensure that different features are comfortable for certain people. Because of that, they have given both. I go with JavaScripting for, I will take up both. First, I will take up JavaScripting. That is a predefined scripting concept. Right? I go with JavaScripting. I select next. The next page I go into how you are going to select a repository. The first one, test object map, is, as I said, it is a repository. This is the place, all the objects on which I performed actions. Please note the point. All the objects on which I performed actions. In an application, there can be thousands of objects. But when I work on that application, I move only to say few objects, 10 objects. Only those 10 objects are available or stored onto this test object map. This is the primary principle of record and replay. You cannot script it manually. Scripting manually is not so easy when you are not managing the repository. So recording is mandatory because it adds that object into the repository by default. Otherwise, we need to add that repository manually into the object map and then start scripting on it. Right? So each object, button, combo box, list box, etc., whatever you name it, those objects get added to the test object map. This is the repository. Second, helper superclass. This is the superclass used by default. Don't try to change this unless otherwise you created your own classes. It is possible in rational. For that, you need to have complete knowledge of Java, which is not expected out of testers. So we will not go inside that, but it is possible. Data pool is the one which is used for iteration, parameterization, data parameterization. I want to send, while I am running the script, I want to send different data sets. To use the different data sets, I have to use the folder that is test data pool. Then data pool record selection order. How do you want to use the data? Or you want to use it sequentially or you want to use it randomly? So this is the available feature. Next, whether you want to use it for each of the scripts, very important concept on this. We will talk about this little later. For time being, I can have the test object map shared across all the scripts. I can take a test, that is superclass, shared across all the scripts, or I can use it for each script, separate repository. So both are available. Usually, advisable is you manage with the individual repository. Don't make it as a common repository. The reason is script 1 might be prepared by you, script 2 might be prepared by somebody else. Script 2 requires a different combinations of objects. Script 1 requires a different combination of objects. If you change anything because of script 2 is failing, it might affect script 1. So let the objects be default. Then why the feature is given? In the olden days, there was always a shortage of memory, always a shortage of hard disk space. So to reduce that, common objects, why I need to have independently? Why can't I have it in the normal single repository? That was the initial idea. And today, the current trend, we don't have a problem of space, memory, or any of those. So we don't need to bother about that. That is the way we manage the project. Again, this portion, these points are specific to the project, nothing to do with certification. And this point might argument might come. Another set of people might say, I am compatible with common repository. It doesn't matter. As long as the behavior of the application, it works. When I execute the script, it has to work. That is the most important aspect in the automation. So we should not get into argument of which is the best one. It is my assumption or my perception based on my experience on the project that I handle. It might vary from person to person, especially managing it in a common way or manage it in the individual way. Right. Now, this is before I start, these are all the important parts to be worked with. I now finish. Once you finish, you will see a recorder window. Right? You will start seeing the recorder window. That is what you can see here, recording. But you can see now there is no application or anything open in my desktop. Even if I have to record, I need to invoke the application. Right? If I have to invoke the application, the third button that I just placed my hand, you can see now there is a start application. This start application indirectly opening up the configure window. Right? From there only he takes the list of applications that we need to record. Right? That is why that is very important. Otherwise, these are all starting troubles. So I now come back. I click on to the start application. When I click on start application, you can see now. You can see a selected application. If you open up, you can see all the one which I have added: calculator, classic Java A, classic Java B, right? Terminal applications, the Google that we have added. You can see all the applications listed. When you practice, especially when you are able to practice it, make sure you practice on HTML because I have an issue on HTML. So, any problem, of course, you can ask me on that. So, now I'll go with the classic Java. It is a default sample application of Java, of Rational Functional Tester. So, I selected it. I say OK. Why we are always using, especially on the training side, we always use the sample application. The reason being, one, we are learning the tool, right? When we are learning the tool, we should not have a surprise in the application first. Because one thing has to be clear, the application has to be stable. Application doesn't have any object which is not part of the RFT. So first part is that. Once you get a confidence, once you get hands-on with all the completely in and out of how RFT works, then we can get up into the next level. Then it becomes easy. The most important part for the tester is it a limitation of yourself? That means you don't know about RFT, you don't know about the application under test. Is it a limitation of tester? Is it first? Is it a limitation of the tool? You have the sufficient knowledge to manage the application under test, but RFT is not able to manage that application under test. RFT having a limitation. Third, RFT is also fine. The developer has not properly coded as I said, they have not used the object class at all. They have not used the standard class at all. Everything they made it as a custom class. The typical problem is, when a developer codes, especially when you have an application like Delphi language, etc., Delphi language supports Java component. A person goes for an interview. He somehow cleared the interview on Delphi. When it comes to the actual production, right, he doesn't know major Delphi components, Delphi standard classes. What he did is he used all the Java classes and coded because Delphi supports Java. Compilation happens with the Delphi controller, whereas the coding happens with a different technology. Because it supports. You do it, later application is installed, it is working fine. Now you want to automate the application. When you want to automate the application, I need a Delphi add-in. That is what management will think. Management goes and buys the Delphi add-in. But unfortunately, which is not known to most of the people, is the language that is used by the developer is no longer a Delphi language. It is used, he used a Java, compiled by the Delphi compiler. So when you go add a Delphi language, it will not recognize any of the objects. If you go to the Java language, even Java will not recognize any of the objects. So you are into a trouble now. So these are all also possible. We failed in 2-3 projects because of this. Right? Of course, finally they will blame it on the tool. They will say tool is not working because they cannot now say developer is bad because developer already coded 3 years over, product has matured, product is used by so many clients. So automation will be scrapped over there. All these unexpected problems you can expect it when you get into automation. Right? So always they will blame it on tester. First is tester. You don't know how to use it. The second thing comes when tester is strong, when tester is very clear, they blame it on tool. When tool guy is also very clear on what is the problem, then they will say this project, this tool is not compatible, shell it off, go to the other. Best way is manual testing. So this is what will happen in most of the industry. I am taking from the perspective of Indian standard. I am not sure about the Mexican standard. Because in India, the code review, the so-called code review never happens. That is why our testers demand is very high in India. The reason is there is no code review. Anyway, I am now opening the application over here. This application is a Java-based application. I am selecting the application. In case if you want to change any of the parameters inside that application, you can use edit application list. It will go to the configure application. Having said that, I click on OK now. I am moving on to the application. Feel free to ask your questions. I will be answering your questions as I feel appropriate. Now, open an application, very simple application, no validations, nothing. It will work in most of the situations. Very useful for initial learning of the RFT, how it handles the object. Now, there is this portion of the object. This is one object. Bottom portion is one object. Place order is an object. Menu bar is an object. Each one is an object. Without selecting anything, I place order. Okay, I will select something. Right? I open the tree view. Please note the actions that I performed. I opened the tree view, selected one of the candidates in the tree. I click on place order. When I click on place order, I got the member logon screen. In case if you have any refresh issues, please intimate me. So I hope right now everything is smooth. So existing customer, there is a two possibilities. One is existing customer, another is new customer. I'll go with the default settings first. Let me understand what is happening. There is a full name, password. I just click OK. I am not entering any password. That means in that screen, the action I performed is clicking onto the OK button. I have not done anything else. Right? This is my order screen where you see an item description, quantity. Now I am changing the quantity. I made it as 2. I give a credit card number because it's a mandatory field. If you select place order, you will see a error message if you don't type anything here. Right? So I've given a credit card number. The number of digits is immaterial. You can give anything. Right? I have given it. I have not changed any other things over here now. I click on place order. Right? You can see now my order number is 50. This is the message that I have got. I say okay. When I started my recording, do you all agree that I have recorded by opening the application? Right? I hope you notice that I have started my recording by opening the application. Right? So I should end the script by closing the application. These are all called the base states. Maintaining the base states in automation is very, very, very important. I should not land up my script in some other page. The reason being, when you are running the script, it will invoke the application. Right? When you invoke the application, I already have one opened installation, that is opened application. I am invoking another instance of application. I may get into complexities. We will see all those complexities as we run. Now I close the application. I stop my recording. My recording is now over. It is now creating the test object map. It has created the script. You can see the script that is appearing on the screen now. This is where the most important part is. Now, when we script it, you can see here the helper class is used. Public class, script1, extend. The extend is what the inheritance I was talking about. The script1 is inherited with the script helper. That means all the child objects of script helper is part of script1. This is what customizing the class. Now this is script1 is my own class. Right? I am extending that script1 based on script helper. That means I take all the copies, all the properties of or classes of script helper, put that as available methods or objects for script1. I am extending that object, adding additional object to that script1. Additional object is test main object. This is my additional object. I am adding that object over here. Now script1 having an additional object dot test main. Right? This is the sequence how the Java works. So even if you don't understand, just accept it as it is now. You don't have to worry about it. Right? So what I am trying to say is script helper is a base class. So script1 is my class and script1 is using the helper class for it to work. That's all. And inside the script1 I have a test. This is what the test case is all about. So each script I am having a test case. Can I have multiple test cases? Theoretically, yes, it is possible. Do you do it? Usually you don't do it. Why? Because of you try to limit yourself. If you are expert, you can do it. Now, having understood that, now if you see here, the script the way it is got generated. First is startup. Startup is a method of script1. He starts application. What is the application is opening up? It is nothing but invoking an application. She invokes the application with this name. This is the logical name. Please note, it is a logical name and this logical name is the name that we have given it in the configure window. So if I go to the configure window, configure application testing, the name that I have given in the left, right, we call it as a name over here. We call it as a logical name. And that logical name is what used by the tool. So logical name cannot be duplicated by default. Now, after this flip Java, you can see now there is a tree2. This is the sub object within that object. Within the test main, within the script, he is now having a tree2 as an object. Tree2 dot click. That you notice now I clicked onto the tree2. And what is that 3 that I have flipped? Super, location,